Well, this is gonna be a fun one. Sukuna vs. Jogo is a fight that gets remembered for the explosions and the scale and the chaos, but when you slow it down and actually look at it structurally, it's one of the simplest fights in the entire series. Not because nothing happens, in fact a lot of batshit crazy things happen in this arc, but because the hierarchy is never unclear for even a second. And that's honestly really important because Jogo isn't weak. He isn't some random curse that wandered into the wrong room, he's a legitimate special grade. A legitimate special grade that has massive cursed energy output, high speed regeneration, long range volcanic techniques, a completed domain expansion, and a maximum technique that can reshape an entire section of a city. He overwhelms grade 1 sorcerers, he severely injures Nanami and Maki, and he even survives an exchange with Gojo. In literally any other scenario, Jogo is without question the apex threat. At least until Sukuna wakes up. After Gojo is sealed in the prison realm during the Shibuya incident, the curses decide that instead of fighting sorcerers directly, Jogo instructed to accelerate Sukuna's revival, which is honestly one of the biggest mistakes he could have ever made. So he force feeds Yuji 10 fingers at once, and that decision alone changes the atmosphere of the arc, because the Sukuna that awakens is impartial. It's roughly 15 fingers worth of power, and up until that point, only Gojo has comfortably existed in that tier. Jogo understands that Sukuna is dangerous, but what he doesn't understand is the scale. He believes that because he's special grade and because his output is overwhelming, he can at least stand in Sukuna's presence, and maybe even impress him. But the moment Sukuna takes control, that assumption starts collapsing. Sukuna doesn't rush or explode into action, he just stretches, observes, and he speaks calmly. And you can tell that there's no urgency in him at all. Then he tells Jogo that if he lands even one hit, he'll work under him. And obviously you don't offer terms like that unless you've already calculated the difference between you and the other. Jogo launches volcanic blast and waves of lava, and high output attacks that would erase most sorcerers instantly. Yet Sukuna just walks through them. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad, I thought you heard me. Hold on, let me say it again. Sukuna walks through them! There's no strain, no adjustment, he disappears from Gojo's perception repeatedly. He appears behind him mid-air, grabs his face, and drags him across buildings like the environment is incidental. Now the important detail isn't just that Sukuna isn't faster, it's that Jogo never meaningfully adapts. There's no real moment where he starts tracking Sukuna properly, mainly because the gap between them is so huge that it's constant from beginning to end. And keep in mind that this is only a 15-finger Sukuna, not complete, not final form, just a fraction of what he eventually becomes. Eventually, Jogo commits fully with Maximum Meteor. Pre-Modulo, this is one of the largest scale attacks we've ever seen at this point. The meteor dwarfs buildings, the explosion reshapes the skyline, and from a visual standpoint, it's overwhelming, especially in the anime. But from Sukuna's standpoint, it changes literally nothing. Maximum Meteor was absolutely useless, with the only thing that was paying the price was the city block. One of the more telling details is what never happens. Jogo never activates his domain expansion. Coffin of the Iron Mountain is a completed domain, and against almost anyone else, that's a win condition. But he doesn't use it, and that hesitation says more than anything else in the fight. Because a domain clash against Sukuna of all people wouldn't equalize anything at all. Malevolent Shrine exists at a higher level of refinement, and Jogo understands that even if he doesn't say it outright. Sukuna doesn't just dismantle him physically, he dismantles him psychologically as well. He critiques his ambition and says that he lacks hunger, and that's significant. Sukuna doesn't mock Jogo for being weak, he mocks him for wanting recognition. Jogo wants validation, but Sukuna respects domination, and those mindsets do not align at all. Jogo fights with emotion, and Sukuna fights with detachment, and in a power system fueled by negative emotion, someone operating that calmly becomes even more dangerous. The fight essentially ends the same way it was paced the entire time. Jogo unleashes his strongest fire output, and Sukuna responds with fire of his own. Not cleave or dismantle, the fire arrow. Or Fuga. I mean, I call it Fuga because that's what I remember it as. But anyways, he matches Jogo's element and overwhelms it instantly. And by instantly, I mean one frame and one panel instantly. That choice isn't about efficiency, it's about demonstration because he proves superiority on Jogo's own terms. Sukuna tells Jogo to stand proud only to incinerate him afterwards. There's no moment where Sukuna is ever pressured. Because he's so powerful, he dictates every second from start to finish. And that's why this fight matters so much, because before this, special grade meant ultimate threat, and after this, special grade becomes relative. If Gojo vs. Jogo showed superiority, then Sukuna vs. Jogo showed hierarchy. It separates Sukuna from the other curses entirely because he isn't their ally, he isn't their leader, and he isn't even in their category. He becomes the measuring stick. Jogo walks into that fight as a calamity level curse and walks out, or rather burns out, as proof that calamities have layers. And once you stop and view the fight through that lens, it stops being chaotic cinematic spectacle and starts being structural dominance. It's not competitive and it's not supposed to be. It's a ceiling being defined in real time. And that clarity is why it still holds up even 2 years later. Anyways, that will do it for today's video. I'll see y'all in whatever I make next. Peace.